welcome to Paranormally Speaking. How you doing, Lynda?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually really looking forward to this show. We have an amazing guest. And I just want to say thank you to all of our viewers first, everybody for, taking the time to join us this week. It's truly appreciated. Well, every week that you guys are here.
Yes.
Don't forget, come into the comments. Please make sure that you click like because that really does help us. And, comment throughout the show. We always try to address our comments as long as they're, appropriate. Right.
Yes.
But yeah, so, join us as, during the show. We love to hear from you guys. So, let's just introduce our guest. So Lynda, she's actually a really good friend of yours. So I'm going to give you the honor of introducing her.
Oh, that is so sweet. Well, I'm really excited because I met Susan Collins a few years ago through a mutual friend who is a follower of our Paranormal Society. Susan Collins is a professional dowser. She is a guest speaker. She's a keynote speaker. She's, I believe, hold on, I think I wrote it down. What is she? She's an ordained metaphysical minister. You believe that? She's an author. She's very inspirational. And, well, she's Susan Collins. She's pretty amazing.
Welcome, Susan. How you doing? Oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. I enjoy being here. By law, I have to say that my religion is metaphysics, which is the study of nature of reality. So that's the Canadian International Metaphysical Ministry that I'm a part of.
Oh, I love that.
It's fabulous.
I do love that. And I mean, I love the fact that I think it was in 2006, I think you were named Dowser of the Year.
Something like that for the Canadian Society of Dowsers. And, it's just the community that we all have, you and your more paranormal world, and dowsing, which transcends water witching and ghost busting and finding lost objects, all kinds of things. But it's fabulous that as a community we have a variety of skills and that we can come together and share them and let what I like to say, to know that we are normal. We're not average, but we're normal. So these are normal skills we have, and it's a pleasure to be with people who share those skills.
I love that. I think that's so true. So I have a question, and I think a lot of people out there who don't know about you or know you might want to know, what got you into this in the first place? How were you attracted to dowsing and this whole community?
It took me many, many years to find the community, but I came in clairsentient, so I could feel things around me. I knew things were there. And when I was growing up, we didn't talk about it. There was, it just wasn't done. And my family took delight in scaring me, saying there were things there, and I would be just jumping. So I was afraid of the dark till I was 45. That's a pretty long time. And I finally, in addition to that, I got crippled with arthritis when I was 29. So I had a big corporate career. When I was 29, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So my hands were claws for 23 years. Mm-hmm. I was on methotrexate, diclofenac, chloroquine, prednisone, all this stuff at the same time. So the healing journey back in those ancient days, long ago, they just wanted to give you cortisone and drugs. And, when I asked, what can I do? Well, there is no cure. And I remember being told that and crying. I cried because when you're 29 and you have a crippling disease and you're told there's no cure, you either give up or you don't give up. So I started going to the library, and I started looking for answers to my disease, my disease. I don't use those words anymore. But so I was highly motivated to find, to regain my health. And I was highly motivated not to be afraid of the dark and the things that were in there. So I talk about the day I turned to face the spirits and say, what do you want? because there's a movie, this is the tagline, that is hell, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I just, I don't care what it is, I'm going to do this. So I finally did. And the energies around me were extremely compressed. And I did speak to a psychic at the time over the phone. And she said, oh, the energies around you look really dark, but I think it's because they're so compressed. Because I was so good at pushing things back. There was the compression of the energy, and it was dark. So over time, I was more confident, and I gradually allowed certain things in. And I found dowsing because a friend of mine, actually it was the Canadian Society of Dowsers, where I first went and first took a workshop. And thank goodness there are workshops out there. And then I found the like-minded people. I found the tribe, which I appreciated. So that was 25 years ago. And eventually, when my kids came in, they also had sensitivities. I just say they're gifted. So I was forced, as a young mother, to try to help my children who were experiencing what I had experienced, which was no fun at all. So I gradually began to do this and to help people in various ways. And it's true, I had with the rheumatoid arthritis, I was pretty much crippled. And yet, I talk about earth mission, soul mission. I was guided to teach people how to do this. And I said, dear God, I can't do this, because my knees hurt. And sort of in that moment, the pain went out of my knees. And I eventually started traveling the world by myself, dragging suitcases and teaching workshops in Italy, Japan, the Middle East, all over the place. And that's the power of intention, too, because at one point, one New Year's Eve, I said, I want to teach dowsing, travel the world, and make money. And within about 3 months, my first Middle Eastern gig came in. And it was
Really?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, be careful what you wish for, because when you are offered it, you better take it. And that was my thought. If I don't do this is what I asked for. They're giving it to me big time. And I say they, whatever they are or is. So I just began to trust, and I overcame my fear. And now I'm a full-time consultant working with, I don't use the word ghosts or aliens really, but I talk about extra consciousness, and many, many, many of us have the experience of extra consciousness, other things that we're aware of that talk to us, that show us pictures. And I try to normalize this experience, because we are normal, not average. And the people who laugh at this or think it's crazy, like wait till you experience it, buddy. It's no fun. That's why the power of community is so great, that we can share our stories and techniques and just talk about what it is to be a human being we're spiritual beings and we're human beings. I think sometimes we forget that we're human beings. Like, we're on the planet, first and foremost, be in your body, and then move the spiritual, paranormal stuff around. But our health comes from being fully in our bodies.
Absolutely. Amazing. That's amazing. So you've been doing this actually for like quite a while, and you've written several books, right? I think you said 9.
Yeah, I've written 9 books, and that was kind of a key for me as well. As I learned something, I wrote it down.
Right.
There's a native expression, give me the wisdom, heal me if there's anything wrong, and give me the wisdom to share. So as I learned things, I started to write them down. And through that process, every time I learned a new thing, I would teach it. I would experience it. I would teach it. I would work with it, and then I would encode it so that other people could do it. So it's somebody's got to, the ancient mystery schools, these things were taught, but in silos. One mystery school would not talk to the other mystery school. The great thing now with the internet is that we can talk with each other, so that the secret knowledge can be shared, and it will never be forgotten again. It will never be hidden again. So I'm doing my bit. It's my legacy bit to have these books all available on my website, also on Amazon. If you look for Susan Collins Dowser, I'm all on Amazon, free delivery with Prime. So
I know where I'm going. Actually, it's funny because I actually just started with rods. So that it's a new thing for me, and I just got drawn to it, and I thought I'm I don't know where I'm going with it yet. Uh,
It is the journey. It is an adventure. Lynda, do you
that
dowse?
is, yeah. I'm
Lynda,
sorry.
do you dowse?
Sorry.
Are you a dowser, Lynda?
We actually, my entire team uses dowsing
Okay, good.
when we go into any experience that we have. And we've found that, you know, all of those things that buzz and whir are useless compared to the good old fashioned dowsing rods.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just, it's energy.
yeah,
And when you go in with, intention and a clear mind almost, you
yeah,
just do it. And we found that, yes, it's very effective, so
yeah.
much more effective. Yeah.
I would agree personally. The other thing I like about the tool is that it's outside of your body, so you can interact with these energies, whatever's there, and it's not. See people in the health food store and they bring something up, and then you're putting it right in your body.
Right.
Um, Also, we may admit out loud that the extra consciousness, these other dimensional beings, they can be quite tricksters, and they're very good at electromagnetic fluctuation. And you may have a little um, meter in your hand, but these things can turn it off. Like I've I've done whole, and I'm sure this has happened to you guys too, that you're in a situation and suddenly all the power goes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So now Spirit doesn't do that to me anymore because I say, well, if you shut me down here, I have another computer, and also we can just go on my phone, and you can't turn me off.
I love that. Love it.
That's
I think
brilliant.
honestly, I think we have to come in with kind of a light heart with this stuff.
Yes.
If we come in any sort of fear-based way, then another little trickster trick that the extra consciousness may have is they could rifle through our thought forms and pick out something that we trust or something that we fear. So I have people who see things that scare them, or see things, apparitions, or something from their culture that they go, oh, I saw. I won't say, but I saw a spiritual being that I trust, and that may or may not be that individual being. So we have to be very, very careful going into any situation where there's any interdimensional activity, or, as I call them, extra consciousness.
Absolutely.
That's really
Absolutely.
true. And
Yeah.
people don't, I think, understand that enough. I think,
Mhm.
right, I think a lot of people just go into things kind of willy-nilly as an open book. And
Right,
that's so wrong,
right.
because for an open book, you don't know what you're going to encounter.
And people treat it as a party game,
Yeah.
or they have a
Yeah.
couple of drinks, and let's do something.
Yeah.
Let's play with the Ouija board. Let's pull
Yeah,
out this. Let's do that.
yeah,
And it's interesting though that you say that, because 2020 really brought out all of this nonsense onto platforms like TikTok, Instagram, all of these, let me do a reading for you. I have no idea. I just bought a tarot deck, but let me, and pay me tons of money to do this, right? But this is exactly what it's brought out, and unfortunately, and a lot of people treat it like there's, and the sad part is that people make decisions in regards to their partners or their lives
hmm
based upon something like that.
hmm
And somebody with no experience, somebody with absolutely no training,
hmm
no inner consciousness as far as like taking their time to learn their craft, to learn the craft to begin
hmm
with. They might have hit on something really well like a year ago, and now they're, touting themselves as psychic of the year or whatever it is.
Well,
True.
we don't want
People,
to insult anybody, but people take a weekend workshops and then they say they're certified, whatever it is.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Whereas like for myself, I don't do dowsing, but I do why is my thing? Sorry. But I do tarot cards, and I've been working with them since I was 16 years old. So, I mean, along dinosaurs were,
hmm
I'm sure, created a deck or two when I started learning. So, it was, but they've been around for, I mean, I've been working with them for a long, long time.
Mhm.
And, so it's similar, you know what I mean? Like you have experience in that craft.
Mhm.
So
I always suggest people go and learn from the oldest person in the room. Because that's where the experience is.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
A lot of us
We-
paranormal people are getting older, Susan.
Yeah, with the elders. We don't talk about getting older. We talk about the elders, right? And we carry the knowledge and the experience. We carry the pain. And even though we can advise, we try to steer people away from the pain, but everybody has to go through their own pain journey to come out the other side to find out what's true.
That is so true.
And I know it's too bad. And with the extra consciousness that drop in, there's the walk-ins or whatever you want to call them. This looks like the party planet, Earth. Yeah, we get to eat, drink, and do all these things. It's not the party planet. It's the planet of pain. So I find some of these guys come in and they're going, oh, wait a minute. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then they don't know how to get back. So when I'm doing a ghost bus, quote unquote, I will often say, various things. But one of the things I say to them is there anything you want to leave behind before they go? Like they've got bags and they can't get out because they're still carrying this bag. And often it's the pain. So I will say, I'll hold that for you. I'll take that from you. And then they can leave it. And then I release that. I treat everybody like humans, like they're all, nobody's really out to get us. Everybody's on some kind of mission, or else they just dropped in here accidentally. And we just got to get everybody back to where they belong.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Now, okay, you were afraid of the dark until you were, did you say 45?
45. I'm afraid of the dark.
Wow. So did you sleep with a light on or a night light or?
I was just afraid of everything. I wouldn't go down the basement,
Really?
Yeah, because there were things out there. Well, we had a septic system in the house and a sump pump. And you may know that a lot of these energies, like they're creeping around like in the wiring and in the pipes and all this business. Only because they don't know what else to do. For me, I often say these things are, when we're experiencing them, and they're my clients as much as the human is. I think of them as lost children, and I just help them go home. And then they only get angry, they only get malevolent when they're not being helped for a long time. And then they just, please, 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 and they start shouting more and turning on toys and flickering lights and all the rest of that.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, I love that. I don't read novels. I just have my practice.
Right. You don't have to read novels. So I had a question for you, because a lot of people in, what we call the field, they often talk, especially now, about the linking of, or the fact that both paranormal energies, if you like to call it ghost hauntings,
Right.
and extraterrestrial energies are linked. And they never used to talk about that. But for some reason, and Kathy, I'm sure you feel the same way, not that long ago, people almost came to this conclusion. It was like, oh, like an epiphany. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think I just refer to them as other dimensional beings. Because we know, like from regular old physics, that the planets, other planets are a very, very, very long way away, and we know things don't go faster than the speed of light. How the heck are aliens, for example, getting here? And the Star Trek, it's other dimensional energy. Or in quantum physics, I like to talk about string theory, which is a mathematical description of the very, very small strings vibrating that have 10 dimensions. So we have R3 plus time that we're used to, but proven mathematically in quantum physics, string theory gives you these 10 dimensions that come in and out. So rather than things necessarily showing up in spaceships, aliens, for example. They're coming in other dimensional forms. So I typically don't differentiate too much. I don't know if any of your people had phenomena with finding dimes anywhere. Did you guys?
Yes, yeah, a lot of people that have had past loved ones, they
Yes.
see the
Well, I was
dimes
at an
quite often.
alien conference, and then the presenters are going regarding the aliens. The aliens are leaving dimes, but there's just dimes. I don't know if there's still. I don't find as many dimes as I used to. But when one's loved one passes, maybe one finds white feathers, for example, or words or signs or whatever it is. So for me, it's other dimensional beings that are not meant to be in the earth realm and that do not support healthy human experience. If they are, whoever they are, wherever they come from, if they are not supporting perfect human health, then they need to move on to their next stage of development, or I say to go home, and I help them get home.
That's pretty cool.
Trevor, welcome.
I apologize for my tardiness.
No worries. We're just glad you're here.
We're coming. So,
Trevor, meet Susan.
Right.
Susan, meet Trevor. Trevor's our
hi, Susan.
our
I'm
other
tardy. So.
co-host.
I'm sorry.
No, that's really interesting. And I think you're right. I think calling them what you call them instead of labeling them as, aliens or ghosts or whatever. I like
Yeah. Well, people use the word entity, which
Yes.
there's a lot of pejorative terms that are used to describe these poor lost beings, really. And they do tend to riffle, as I mentioned, they do tend to riffle through our brains and pull out images. Oh, I'll show up as that. They're expecting to see this. I'll turn into that, and maybe they'll help me. They're typically not trying to scare us, but they're not human. They really don't know what to do.
Wow. That's interesting, isn't it?
You
Yeah.
have a slideshow that you prepared.
I do a little slideshow. If you have to coach me again on how to get it going. Do you want me to start that up at this point?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So you just go to share the little
Screen.
plus sign.
And entire screen. Can you see that?
I sure can. I'm just going to put you up on the thing here. Hang on a sec. Put you up on the stage.
There we are.
There we are.
So we've covered a little bit of this, but let me just, orbs, ghosts, aliens, and other beings of the multiverse. It reminds me of one of the former popes was generous enough to say, if there are aliens, they will also be beings of God. And I thought that was that was a lovely thing to say.
Yes.
Beings of the universe. So I'm a professional dowser. I was given the name Water Woman, carrier of the sacred water, by my colleague White Eagle. I've studied in the native tradition with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I have initiation in the Celtic tradition and Kabbalistic tradition, and then I'm an ordained metaphysical minister, which so I do weddings, the whole bit. It's quite fun. So my journey, I was clairsentient as a kid. I had the big corporate career, and then I got sick. 1982, rheumatoid arthritis. Told there was no cure. But by 2005, I was drug-free. So around 2000, I found dowsing. One of the things I found, which is still important to know, autoimmune disorders can be the self not recognizing the self. And I never talk about my quote disease or how's your, I don't even want to say the name of a disease particularly. How's your cancer doing? Oh, my cancer's doing fine, right? So you're giving it form. So what we always try to do is give things, if we give things form, then we destroy them. So the self not recognizing the self, this comes down to soul's purpose, stuff like that. And so all the books I've read and written on Amazon or on my website, dowser.ca. But here's the main point that I hope you would agree with. Panpsychism is a word that refers to consciousness as a universal feature of all things. So your computer, like your dog, yourself, your plant, the rocks, your computer, everything has consciousness, and we can communicate with everything, which I think is amazing. And I do that with dowsing. all things and all time. So people talk about the Akashic records. We can go back and forth into the past. We go into the future as well, because everything there is no proof of time being only linear. So it's like everything happening all at once. I use the dowsing because it keeps the energies outside of my body, which I appreciate. Here's a cartoon. They're doing the Ouija. It says, "Did you know you can call up any spirit for just 10 cents a minute? Just our luck, we contacted a dead telemarketer." So a little earlier, we were talking about the Ouija board and how it's misused quite often. And we talk about trickster energy, and they will present in any old way they think they can get away with. So it's the discernment, compassionate, detached discernment when you're working with the other realms to see who is it really. We say the truth, the truth, the truth. So here is a very cool picture. So we got on the left the human, on the far right the quote alien presenting as one of the angels, and it's the trickster thing, right?
Wow.
So just remember that when you think you're talking to something. And things we don't know. We don't know most things. So a little chart, all we can see and hear happens in this tiny little band of color up here. So for me, the entire universe is simply electromagnetic. And it's electromagnetic fluctuations, some of which are too small or too big for us to perceive with our direct senses. In the direct dimensions, but the various tools, dowsing is my modality, helps us to bridge that gap, interdimensional gap, so that we can safely travel in the other realms. So I'm a big fan of that. And really what do we need to look at is what are the energies around us, beneficial, non-beneficial, or neutral. You can, like how does one differentiate one's loved one has died and truly wants to communicate and is truly, your heart link with your dead loved one. So you don't want to eliminate all contact with these energies, but you need to know who it is that you're dealing with. And I find mostly things just need help. So my main job with these other dimensional energies is to see what they need to move on to their next stage of development. They're typically not happy in our earth plane. And in my opinion, unless they're supporting our successful human existence and the Earth's existence, that they need to be taken into their next stage of development. That's a nice way to say it, right?
Right.
Okay, science. I'm sorry, we're going to do a little science, but the multiverse idea has been around since 1952. Alternate or quantum universes, interpenetrating in parallel worlds, alternate timelines, dimensions. So none of it makes intuitive sense, quantum physics. It's been around 75 years or so now. And people prove these things with math. And what proof do we have of anything? But we have some of our best minds saying, yeah, for sure, it's quantum reality. Quantum reality, whatever that is. So there, I mentioned the string theory, and how do you even draw a picture of 11 dimensions? But 10 of space, 1 of time, and they're all curled up together, and you never know when they're going to pop out. So in movies, we see lightning storms, the horror movie, the thunder, the lightning. Intense electromagnetic change can change the vibration of one of these strings, and then temporarily or more permanently bring them into our dimension. So the quantum wave, and this is not religion, this is science at this point. There is only, we talk about unity conscious, there's only one wave. It's like fascia in the body. There's only one piece of fascia that holds us all together. And the universe is a bit like that too. There's only one wave, and we're all just in the parts of the wave moving around. Intention can collapse the quantum wave into reality. So I'm sorry for the science, but this is the truth of our time. So electromagnetic fluctuation can create these portal types of things. And people go around opening these things up. So whether it's in a benign way with a meditation, or they're actively trying to pull some other dimensional thing in, but after one does the work with the portal, it's good hygiene to close it up. I had a client the other day whose parent died, and for whatever reason, a portal was left open after her death, even for just a couple of months, and things were starting to come in and out of that. And I noticed on your show, I think it was last month actually, that you were talking about a property with a lot of portal energy. So if one leaves the portal open, things will just come in, and it gets bigger and bigger because it's more visible in the other realms. So it's good practice to close one's portals. Close the door behind you. I remember after 9/11, when so many people died, one of my colleagues, very sensitive woman, she lived in a second floor apartment, and she could hear steps, people coming up the steps. It was the dead firefighters. And they would open the door, they'd come up the steps, and they'd keep going. And she got so sick of that, she would start to shout, "Close the door." And then the door would slam. So for many of us, these beings are quite real. They're just in another dimension that sometimes we have the privilege of interacting with.
Wow.
So normal element, liquid, solid, gas, and then orb energy, orb, stream, plasma. So just a quick thing on this. This is an energy stream. I took this picture and just with a normal camera, and what you see are these sinuous streams, which may be orb carriers. You'll notice they're quite symmetrical. And then if you notice down at the bottom, it almost looks like the Om symbol.
Yeah.
I showed this picture to another colleague, and she said, she said, "Oh yeah, I see those things in my bathroom, in my shower." So like that, it's everywhere. It's everywhere all the time. And just sometimes we're in a frequency to see it. I didn't take this picture, but you see the photo of the horse on the bottom right. And then we have in the plasma form, it's a horse.
Yeah.
So what are orbs? They can be nature spirits, human emotion, life force, multidimensional frequencies. Energy phenomena is always a good thing to say. Oh, it's an energy phenomena. In this picture, none of this plasma. It took me a few years to realize that was plasma forming down there. Oops. Orbs and snow. So for those folks who think, oh no, it's just dust or it's rain. So this is a snowstorm, and this is an orb. You can see the difference, the structure of it. Orbs and rain. You can see raindrops, and then you can see orbs. And orbs do tend to hang around different people with energies. All these things will hang around. If somebody is visible and is open to it, those energies will come in. Orbs and bugs, where are we? So I thought when I first took these pictures, I thought they were all bugs because it looks like eyes and wings, but this is a picture of a bug. And these things are they're popping into our dimension. And it's like a little pinhole. I do actually believe there are pinhole black holes all over the place, and these guys come in through that. Doppler effect explains, red on the bottom, blue, purpley on the top. It shows speed, coming and going. Very cool stuff. Orbs without a flash and hexagonal stuff just hiding up there. We sort of have to sneak up on them. And a daylight orb, again, just showing up, no flash, no anything, but just like a nature spirit, very likely. This is not an orb. We get a lot of these. There's the sun. If you take a picture into the sun, you're going to get refraction, and it looks like an orb, but it's not. It's exciting to see it, but it's not an orb. So here's a series of pictures I took. So the orb forming, coalescing into plasma. And then I started walking towards, this is a tree on my front lawn. I started walking towards it. They have a personal space of about 12 feet, 4 meters kind of thing. You can see them from a distance, but if you get too close, they will just disappear. And then you can see them disappearing again.
Oh, wow.
There was another one. I freaked out in this one because I'm taking these pictures and it's turning into something. And I was afraid I couldn't handle it. So I took myself out, and my next picture, there's nothing. So if one is open, one will be presented. If you are in resonance attracts. This woman wanted to hold an orb in her hand with one over her head, and she was holding that intention to to experience holding an orb. Now here, this was an orb night. I'm almost done here. I'm not going to keep going too much longer. But there's a few of us. We're in a field with a fence around it. We're taking some orbs, and somebody takes this picture, which just looks like somebody walking in the field. There was nobody there. So we blew it up. It looks like a young man in a plaid shirt, maybe. And then, it just pixelates out.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just with an ordinary camera, but we have the intention. And if the person is open and maybe resonant with whoever that individual was or is, and it doesn't have to be a dead person. It could just be somebody else too. Then, of course, the monks, they're very good at orbs. Love it. So consciousness exists in different frequencies, and we attract and perceive what we resonate with. So are we being prepared? Because nobody's afraid of an orb, right? Back in the Renaissance times, there's documentation, the paintings, etc., of spacecraft coming in. Light moves. This is me taking a picture of things that are behind me because the light, I'm in a temporal distortion, so we can go into interdimensional space. Again, just a normal camera. This one a friend of mine took looking through a window. She took this picture and then this one. And you can see it's the same image, but you can see in this, there's the woman's face or somebody's face up there. This looks like a woman, I think. She's looking both ways at once. There are these plants in the window. Yeah, there she's looking around.
Wow.
Yep, amazing, right? And but that's all that was there. So individuals can move into interdimensional space, and those old point and shoot cameras are really the best for that. The fancy phones aren't as good. Now, if you're looking at this on your phone, you're not going to see it. But here's the question: how many people are in the bus? And I'm sure you see the three kids, and you see a figure here, and you probably see a figure there. And this figure was the grandmother who was dead, and she wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, then the dimes. We mentioned that the dimes can come in. So who are these? Who are these? Are they muses, guides, aliens? What are they? Are they dead people? Are they space people? Are they nature spirits? Or from our world, remote viewers? And I'm not sure if you guys work with remote viewing, but there is the ability some people have to take their consciousness to a distant spot and see what's going on. So sometimes when we feel like we're interacting with an alien or ghost or something, it could just be a human on the other side of the world looking at you. Mass consciousness creates phenomena. In COVID, we experience a lot of mass consciousness. Curses and thought forms hang around, past and future lives. Multidimensional self. Sometimes it's our own past lives, our own simultaneous self that is encroaching on this physical being. My body, my planet. Yeah, so you got to watch out for that. Anyway, there we have it. And I'm available, dowser.ca, and that's my show.
That's awesome.
Yep. So I do this on a daily basis. This is so normal for me, this interaction with the other dimensions. And I have to say, if I am involved in a ghost hunt, for example, my job is for the other being and to help it get it on its way. So that's what I do.
So what would a typical, session with you look like?
Typically, I ask people I don't want anybody to phone me, but I ask them to email me. They'll ask for a session and I'll say, well, why? And point form, what seems to be the problem? What are the symptoms? And it helps the person, if you make them do point form, well, what's actually happening? And somebody just asked for a session and then she said, oh, my daughter is having bad dreams, for example. And then also tell me more detail. Are there any pets in the house? That's always a clue. Are there pets? Any unusual behaviors in the pet? Are there people in the house? Unusual behaviors there. When did it start happening? Was there any event you can remember? So I get the person to start focusing on what it is. It's not just, oh man, I'm sick and I'm depressed. It's like, well, let's get to the bottom of that. We look at the source of the symptoms. So I ask them to tell me what what are your symptoms and what is the timeline? So before we ever meet, we've had maybe 3 or 4 little email exchanges, and I say, look at my website and all of that. Then to begin, I start all my sessions with a dowsing protocol, which is a 2-page PDF, and I'll send that to anybody that wants it. It's a dowsing protocol, how to dowse safely, and I can send you a worksheet on how to dowse with pendulums too. So if you send,
I would love that.
yeah, send me an email. You got to send the email, susan@dowser.ca, and put protocol and even paranormal in the subject line, and then I know what I've promised. So so throughout my practice, over the years as I was developing it, I was, of course, under tremendous psychically vulnerable. Let's put it that way. I could say psychic attack, but the thing is, when you go willy-nilly into somebody else's thing, you don't know what you're getting into. So you need, shields up. I liken it to a submarine where I'm in the submarine and I have a periscope and I get up and look around. So my dowsing protocol is the thing that keeps me safe. Before we meet, I do the protocol. And then as soon as I'm with my client, we do it together. And then it becomes a diagnostic. So what parts of the protocol are not working for them? And then I can, bless you, then I can sort of go from there. So, we do the protocol, we see which energy, I triage it basically, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, all dimensions, time frames, realities, and frequencies. So it's, people go, oh my God, that's so many words, I can't remember it. But it's, if you leave anything to chance, if there's a little hole things can get through, they will find a way to get through. So this is the protocol I've developed over the last 25 years or so, with all my teachers, who I'm grateful to, and it's a really, really good filter to see what are the energies we're dealing with, and then very often we get to a choice point with the client. What do you choose? Because I'm sure some people would rather die than change. Or I had a client early on whose baby had died. I went to her house. She's got the little crib and the little shoes where the baby had been. And the baby's energy was present. And I said, wouldn't, we want to release this. I said, wouldn't you want your baby to go on to her next stage of development? And the mother said no. So kind of that greedy energy, like that's just kind of mean, but it's ultimately it's up to the person. Yes, I choose to find my own power. I choose my path forward. So we look at a lot of stuff, going in there. We can go into the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that holds emotionally traumatic memories. And, for behaviors that are persisting into adulthood, there could be a cause from childhood, even in the womb, where it's setting up a behavior pattern that it's an outdated survival mechanism. So, and with the amygdala, because it's emotionally traumatic memories that can't be remembered. Talk therapy, for example, is never going to get it out. But once you pull that, string, if you want to say that, once you pull that out and look at it, you go, oh, well, I remember that. I remember one client in her 50s, she was always getting up in the middle of the night. And we came back to a memory when she was 3 where she was wetting the bed. And, she would get up. And I said, well, you don't wet the bed anymore, so you don't have to wake up. Wear adult diapers, whatever it is. So we found the source of the behavior. The outdated survival mechanism was waking up in the middle of the night. Of course, there's other reasons one might wake up too. But anyway, we normally spend an hour, and I let them tape because you can tell I talk, and I go through a lot of material. Let them tape it, and then sometimes we resolve it there, or they have homework to do, and then maybe we do follow-ups, or maybe they don't. They enjoy it or they don't enjoy it. I had one client I spoke to every day for 14 years. Every morning at 9:30.
Wow.
Yeah, but most people I see a few times and that's it.
Right. Yeah. We have our Wendy from 2016 Dowsers California conference is saying hello. And
Hello.
she actually has a question. Well, first of all, she says, I like using your protocol. But one of her questions is, has anyone had any connections or experiences with, I don't know what this is, 3 Atlas, 3, I don't
Oh, the
know.
comment. The comment?
Yeah.
I'll put it up on the screen. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
Well, there is, okay, here's an example of mass consciousness. So A, there is consciousness everywhere. Everything has consciousness. B, when everybody looks at a certain phenomenon, like an asteroid or something,
Right.
now what are we perceiving? We're perceiving thought forms of everybody. So it's very hard to get underneath the layers of the thought forms. Everything does have consciousness. I can dose right now. Should we be afraid? I get a no. Is this normal? I get a yes. Like there's so many near misses that go past all the time.
Yeah.
And there's so many other dimensional beings around us all the time that and they're like right with us. They're built in to the desk, other dimensional consciousness. So, the Buddhist thing, right action, right word, right deed. Just do the best. Theodore Roosevelt, do the best you can with what you have where you are. Just be a good person and try to help people. And that's all we're supposed to be doing here. And practice your dowsing and find out all kinds of things.
And close the damn portals.
And close the portals. Not the damn portals, darling. Just, because we have no emotion. Our safety is in not having any emotion. So for these things, if I see you there, can I help you? But hygiene, good hygiene for us energy practitioners, do not leave doors open. In some churches at the festival, at the feast day of a saint, for example, there might be an icon and you open the doors or you parade the icon through the street. And then at the end of the festival, you cover the icon, you close the doors. So it's, we say amen in the Christian tradition. At the end of a prayer, close the door. Don't leave it open.
Yeah.
But you know what? Those are my clients. So.
I love that. So how do you feel, Susan? Here's a strange question, but maybe not so strange. If somebody approached you and said to you, do you think mirrors are portals? How would you answer that question?
Anything can be a portal. Anything. Mirrors, we go back to scrying,
Right.
which was from the Renaissance time, and John Dee, and everybody's, you scry into a pool of water, into a pool of mercury, into a mirror. And what is that doing? It's changing our eyes, are changing focus, and permitting us to see different things.
Right.
You don't need those are external tools. So a mirror can be anything. Anything can be a portal.
Right.
Yeah.
I always seem to think, though, that with a mirror, especially, you are looking in a mirror, you are interacting with a mirror, you're talking to yourself in a mirror sometimes, you're telling yourself things, either, oh gosh, you look so great today, or, oh my God, what the hell are you?
Yeah, mostly we don't tell ourselves we look great,
Yeah. No, normally we don't. I know some people that do.
Yeah, it's a good habit. You have to force yourself to do it. Oh, you know what I say to my body for my self-healing? I say, you are so clever and smart, you know what to do. That's how I talk to my body.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Just touching on the autoimmune that you had mentioned. So I've got a couple of autoimmunes, disorders. And so I found that really interesting. So I'm sorry, I forgot what you had said in regards to it, but it was a part of.
Well, the autoimmune disorders can be the self not recognizing the self. Oh, that's another thing that happens. Whoa, okay, here we go. Those of us who are working in the other realms, who somehow you get hit, we call them hitchhikers.
Yeah.
From some other sort of dimension, and they end up in our field, they will start to try to convert our human bodies into a physiology that suits them more.
Hmm.
So some sickness is that, like there's different reasons. It's all inflammation, but I have found this several times. Things will come in and then they don't like our physiology. So they'll try to switch us up. So then those guys, I always say, "Oh, do you like are you happy here on the planet? Are you happy
Yeah.
being in so and so?" And you get them to say no. Well, what would you rather go home? Would you rather go someplace else? Well, yeah, I would. Do you know how to get there? Are you willing to go? Do you want to go? So we sort of, we build them little ships. We get their attention. I see you there. Can I help you? And would you rather get out of this body and get back to where you belong in your own dimensional space?
So what if somebody is, let's say, for instance, born with an autoimmune? How is that? Is that something that was developed within the womb or
Well,
before that they were even conceived, or how does
well,
that?
we're just humans, right? Like we're just a bunch of human mutations. We're just a bunch of cell mutations. That's what evolution has been. We talk about the blueprint of the body. And people sometimes, and what we do is we create a new blueprint for cell reproduction so that the processes support the experience of human health. Some people ask, oh, to restore my authentic blueprint. It's like, no, if you came in with an autoimmune disorder or whatever it is, or the propensity to a certain disease, you want to breed that out. So we ask for change to occur. And this is what the protocol does. It disconnects energies and enhances energies. So we ask to disconnect non-beneficial energies and processes, bioelectric, biomechanical, biochemical, disconnect non-beneficial processes and energies and maximize beneficial energies so that we experience good health,
Okay.
good human health. And that's one of the things every day you should say, my human health, because a lot of us, especially those working with the other realms, we're not fully in our bodies. So that's something to determine for yourself.
Right.
Because a lot of people, like, they're only in the upper chakras. The chakras are the energy systems, which just correspond to your spinal nerves coming out. But a lot of folks, they're not actually rooted in their lower chakras. So that's why, stamping your feet and energy medicine is a great thing. Donna Eden's work and all of that. Job one, get in your body. Job two, tell yourself that you're beautiful or handsome.
I love that.
Very cool.
Yeah. I love that.
I thought about Trevor when I was watching one of the images actually in the PowerPoint. And Trevor, that was the one where, you've got the human, you've got the alien, and then in the middle, you've got like the angelic form. And, we often say, right, in the paranormal, who are we talking to?
Exactly.
Is it really a little girl that we're talking to, or is it something else?
Yeah. That's very hard to tell.
That's something that we've come across many times, trying to understand, why are we finding this particular spirit in this location? It doesn't make any sense. Why is there a little girl, here? And that's, where we caution investigators all the time, especially about being duped into thinking that this is one thing. And then oh, they're so sweet. Oh, come home with me,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I've heard stories about that happening. So yeah, for sure. That's a big thing. We can't see them. And so we just, we have to exercise caution for sure.
Right. Detached compassion. I see you there. Can I help you? And I always ask for the truth, the truth, the truth. And one of the things I was taught to ask, and this is from the Christian tradition, but in interacting with a being, I say, do you accept divine holy love? And they say yes or no. If they say yes, then you open up your heart chakra, you become divine holy love. And if it's a trickster, they're gone by the time you do that. But that's why I use the tools, honestly, because you can have that conversation with a thing. It's quite hard. I find the information comes in so fast into the brain. I need to slow it down with a tool. That's honestly what's going on.
That's fascinating. To slow it down. It comes in that fast.
Yeah.
Or sorted out. For me, it's sometimes sorted out. It's like I gotta sort through this, like all this information, but I gotta sort through it.
Well, there's a lot that comes in, and it's not presented. My brain is not well, who knows? We're just human, right?
When you open yourself up to something like this and you're saying, okay, can I help you?
Yep.
What is it that they're wanting help with?
Well, if they are in somebody's field on average, and they're not supporting the individual's experience of good health, they shouldn't be in there. So I find that these things are hiding out. Like they're hitchhikers. They either just glom onto somebody because, like, we're so beautiful, they can see us, or we're clinging onto them. You know, your loved one has died, and I can't live without you. But if they're not there supporting the individual's experience of human health, they shouldn't be there. So me saying, "Can I help you?" is a very polite way of saying, I don't. There's other techniques. Back in the day, people would get angry and you try to fight the spirit and send you here or there. But I just find it's just a very gentle approach. Then they're my client. I come in with love. I see you there. Can I help you? It's like a kid on the street or somebody with dementia, and they're wandering around. Like, oh, I don't know where I am. Well, can you remember somebody that could help you? Do you remember where your home is? It's like treating dementia patients, really. You should think of them as kids, but anybody who's lost and confused.
Wow.
And if they're angry, they only get angry because nobody's helped them. They've been wandering around forever, They don't know it's forever, but they do start to get angry. It's like, okay, it's okay,
Wow. So those would be the ones that would sort of reach through the ether kind of thing, and they could touch you or scratch you, or how does that happen?
Well, they just get pissed off.
Yeah.
I had a client the other day whose mother had died recently, and we're doing a session, and we're just coming to the end, and I heard something from the mother, and then she heard something fall in the other room, and her mother's purse had fallen off the counter. So the poltergeist activity. It's like what was that movie with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore?
Ghost.
And if you get enough energy, you can move the penny. And if there's a strong enough emotion in the other dimensional being, with anger, throwing things around, or love, dropping her Chanel purse on the floor. That was an expression of love. That was an expression of, I'm here. I am here for you. I love you.
I'm going to just show your website. I'm just going to bring it up really quick here so that people can see.
It's also on my screen, on my signature line. But there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, and so if people are interested and they want to, contact you on your site too, there is your YouTube videos, all of your books.
Yeah, and I've got rental YouTube workshops, but I also have a ton of free workshops just from this and that. If you want to hear me talk more or various topics. Yeah, it's been an honor to be on this journey, and I commend you guys as well for also being on the journey, coming at it, and we're all just trying to understand. But since we are just human, it's very hard. But
I think it's wonderful that we get to share all of this information and knowledge, and it's almost like we all have like different pieces of the puzzles.
Right.
And we can start bringing them in and create a bigger picture every time we add, just that little piece or that new piece that we discover.
Very true. Let me say, all you need is love. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about love.
Thank you
yeah.
so much, Susan, for being with us. It's been a true pleasure, and it
Thank
was
you.
an honor to meet you.
Thank you
And
for the invite.
remember, everybody, check out her website, www.dowser.ca, and your YouTube site, Susan Collins. I actually just went on YouTube and typed you in, and I was able to watch some of your videos this afternoon. So it
Good.
kept me. It was very, very, knowledgeable. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everybody
Thank you.
here, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching our show. Please, please, please make sure you subscribe. Please like click like. And if you are so inclined, please share the show. And thank you so much again for being here with us. We will see you next week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.